I'm David Levitt, running to represent California in the U.S. Senate in a historic primary race where, under new rules, Senator Dianne Feinstein and I can both win the June 5th primary. And then there's no Republican on the November ballot in blue California. I'm on the ballot as a Democrat, but there are two very different kinds of Democrats. There's your classic old-school Democrat like Franklin D. Roosevelt, and they're the kinds of Democratic leaders we have now. And it's a story of wealthy bullies, the 1%, and how Democrats succeed or fail to stand up for the people, for the 99%. Old-school Democrat Franklin Roosevelt was the most popular president in history, and he helped the 99% in our greatest crisis when we really needed it badly. He did a dozen great things, like creating the safety net and ending prohibition. Roosevelt stood up for the 99%. His attitude was, "I welcome the hatred of the greedy bankers who don't want the people to get a fair shake. They wrecked our economy, and they'll be testifying in our courts. They're very rich and powerful, but remember, because you're the people I'm standing up for, and we have a democracy, we can't lose. Don't be afraid." If this was a schoolyard, Franklin might be the smart, brave kid, alongside the short kids and nerds and girls and brown and Jewish kids, the kid with the inhaler, all at the mercy of the bullies. But he's saying, sure, they're big, mean bullies, but there are way more of us and we'll win. And of course, Roosevelt was right, and the 99% got what they so desperately needed and deserved. And he kept doing it, and he served 4 terms. And there's today's Democrats. They're more like the popular kid in the schoolyard who looks at the short kids and the girls and the kid with an inhaler and says, look, obviously these bullies are much bigger than any of us. Be afraid. You're lucky I'm here. Let's not let them tease us and call us names. Fortunately, I know how to negotiate and compromise. When I'm done, those huge bullies will walk away with less than half your lunch money, 3/4 tops. Roosevelt's signature achievement was the safety net, Social Security and Medicare. Medicare has a huge pool of Americans on a group insurance plan. So there's a big savings, and it's not for profit, so it's not expensive. It's helped hundreds of millions of Americans. But it isn't perfect. The main thing, we forgot to include any people under 55. When you add those people, it's an even bigger, healthier group being protected, and it's even cheaper. 35 other countries have figured this out. Polls show it's what 59% of Americans want. Single-payer Medicare for all. But the popular kid says, oh, whatever that was you were asking for, hold up. We're not going to be able to consider it. The bullies want to call us names. They're actually using a really scary name, socialist. Ask your grandparents about the McCarthy years, where people could lose their jobs the minute someone said that word. Be afraid. Some of those 35 great healthcare countries call themselves socialist. Obviously, you're not going to be able to get what you want. We'll compromise. The bullies will still make a profit. Not everyone will be insured. And there's a way to keep prices low called the public option. Only we won't do that. Be realistic. We can't even debate the Medicare for all that you want. This is by far the best you can do. And if we can do it, it'll be our signature achievement, whether you thought you wanted it or not. They never think they're helping the bullies. They just do it. They don't understand what Roosevelt was doing, how the people fit in, and why, amid all their help, the 99% are always afraid and always lose. They even did this 3 years ago. They had big majorities controlling the Senate, the House, and the White House. How was that a great time to meet the bullies halfway? Or did they not notice they had become the new bullies? I'm David Levitt, and I'm on the ballot for U.S. Senate in California as an old-school Roosevelt Democrat, the brave kid who won't back down, doesn't do fear, and will stand up for what the people want, leaving Afghanistan, ending prohibition, and Medicare for all.